All right, welcome to the show. Thanks, Rifters. While you're at, subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts. Give us some love. Tell a friend. Follow us on social media, Twitter and Instagram, and Facebook at Reza Riffs. I'm Keith Reza. You could follow me on Facebook and Twitter as well, and Instagram at Keith Reza. Or book me on Cameo, www.cameo.com/Keith Reza. I'm also on this new app called Stereo at Keith Reza. It's pretty cool. Alan Lee will not be here today. We had some scheduling conflicts, and unfortunately, that's just the luck of the trade. It's a bummer, but the show must go on, as the wise man once said. I hope you're all staying safe, staying healthy, and all that jazz. I'm very excited for today's show. This guy has been one of my heroes growing up because he was in this movie called Mortal Kombat, and that was one of my favorite movies. So I'm really excited and nervous to talk to him because I get nervous when I talk to people like I really do like. And so it's a little nervousing, but I'm gonna work through it. I'm gonna kick ass because kick ass is my middle name. Lyndon Ashby is my guest today. He's been on the movie Mortal Kombat, Melrose Place, Teen Wolf, and he's on the show right now called Tricket. He's also a director who directed his first movie called Escaping My Stalker. So that's pretty cool. And it's going to be fun talking to him and all that jazz. So guys, I hope you enjoy this interview with the great Lyndon Ashby. Thank you.
You're listening to Reza Riffs with Keith Reza and Alan Lee, right here on LA Talk Radio.
Hey, Lyndon. You there?
Did that work?
Yeah. Hi, how are you?
Good, man. How you doing?
Doing good. Thank you so much for doing this. It means a lot to me.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah. My friend interviewed you a couple years ago, and I was like extremely jealous of him.
Well, I don't know about that, but it's cool to be here.
Yeah, Steve Cooper. So he did the
okay.
Yeah. I'm so bummed that like we're in a pandemic or whatever because I like doing interviews in studio in person. You know what I mean?
I know it's gotten to the point that it's just sort of. I mean, we see the light at the end of the tunnel, right?
Yeah.
And we got to hang in there, not be stupid, and get through this thing.
Yeah.
And I think we can. I think we can. But yeah, I mean, we're all so over it.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope so, because like with my Asperger's, it's easier with the like in person because I could read detail more better, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And also like I give my guests like gifts, you know, and I bought you a new pair of $500 sunglasses.
Right on, asshole. Yeah, that would be. Yeah, I wish we were in person too. Where do you live?
I live in Huntington Beach, so LA area.
Surf City, man.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, like, I have a lot of Mortal Kombat questions, but I want to talk. I want to talk about like other stuff too, because I know you probably get sick of Mortal Kombat. But if I get into it, forgive me.
I never get sick of Mortal Kombat. That's okay. I never get sick of Mortal Kombat.
Awesome. So you've been doing acting for 25 plus years, and you just made your directing debut. What was that like? Like, because you directed yourself.
35 years.
35 years. Oh, okay.
At least more.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
I think I've been acting. I was just talking to somebody about it the other day. I've been in Screen Actors Guild for 38 years.
Oh, wow.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I my first thing that I directed was an episode of Teen Wolf, and I was in that, and then I directed a movie, like a thriller for Lifetime, and I
Escaping
was
My
in that.
Stalker. Yeah.
Yep, I was in that, and then I did a romantic comedy that hasn't come out yet, and then I've got 2 more coming up in over the next 3 months. So I'm directing 2 more. So it's cool, you know. I really I enjoy directing. I enjoy sort of the being able to be involved in the whole process.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know, and I don't have to worry about what I look like either.
Is it hard for you to direct yourself? No, I'm still here. Are you there?
I'm here. You? Okay, we froze up for a sec.
Yeah.
Yeah.
LA's been going through all these internet shortages too. Have you noticed that? Like,
how about that? That was did you get the Spectrum one the other night?
yeah. It's
Yeah.
well.
Nothing.
Yeah, but hopefully it works. If not, I'll email you. But
if it doesn't work, we'll do it again.
Okay, cool, awesome. But how is it like directing yourself as an actor? Because I know like it's either one of those things that when guys do that, it's either the best work ever, like Clint Eastwood. Like, how can you direct yourself? You know what I mean? Like, it's just kind of.
I think that for me, it's easier because my mind is on so many other things. And I work a lot with Susan, my wife, and she's there, and you have to have somebody that you trust to sort of, you know, watch out and direct you. And Susan and I worked a lot together. When I direct, she's there, and I think hopefully we're co-directing these next 2 things, because, you know, people get really nervous hiring a husband and wife, but we've taught together, and we see things differently, and we see different things. And so the 2 of us together are stronger than one of us alone. We complement each other, and the whole is better. So for me, it was really easy. I didn't, you know, the last thing you want to do as an actor is really think about things. You know, you don't want to, and you know, be self-conscious. And as when I was directing, I was absolutely not self-conscious as an actor.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to try and please the director.
Yeah, that's always nice.
Yeah.
I'm like, I specialize in stand-up comedy. So like I've only done like 1 or 2 really bad movies, but I only got it because of my comedy. And I remember the guy directing me, he was like trying to change me. I was like, you hired me for my comedy, I'm just gonna do me. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I was like, whatever. But
now, do you do you know, as a stand-up comedian, working in front of a live audience is way easier than working in front of, you know, doing it just on a tape or whatever, because you get that immediate feedback. You know what's working. You feed off the audience, they feed off you, and it becomes this thing that rolls, right?
Yeah. See, like with me, I'm probably really different because of my Asperger's. I don't see social cues, and I don't hear laughter. So I just go So I just go by energy.
Right. Yeah. But but you read the energy.
Yeah, I feel energy if people are having a good time or having a bad time or stuff like that. And the longer I've been doing it, the easier it got. But when I first started, it was like really awkward, you know? So, yeah.
Now, when you say you don't read social cues, you don't pick up on social cues, and you don't hear laughter.
Yeah. Like it's.
Explain that to me.
All right. So like, for one thing, I don't know if what I say will piss you off or if you like me. Okay. So like, I'll just like, oh, that was,
Right.
you know what I mean? And so like you're shaking your head like it's just a question mark to me. I don't know what that means. You know what I mean? And
I'll go like this. I'll just be like the bobbly head in the back of the car, and then you can just read whatever you want into it.
exactly. And then like energy, how energy works with me is when I do comedy, because I've been doing it for about 16 years, so I'm actually pretty good at it, like not to
Right.
boast or anything. It takes a long time. Like eventually you'll see energy of like, okay, a punchline, wait 3 or 4 seconds, start the next joke. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Give people a chance to either accept it or not accept it.
Right. Right.
So,
Right.
and the thing is, like, I get I get a form with you, like on your movies, like Mortal Kombat, for example. You were the funny guy in the thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I have a feeling that you did some improving or rewriting your lines.
A lot. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, like, what was that like?
We'd be in these situations, and it would just we worked on it. So there were a lot of lines that were just rewritten, and then a lot of lines that were improvised on the spot. And it was a really safe kind of environment to work in. Because if something didn't work, it wasn't going to be the end of the day.
Yeah.
We'd try something else. We can drop back to the script. We can do all kinds of things. So you just felt free to play, to experiment, to see what happened. And trust me, some of it worked and some of it didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever want to like write your own script? Like, is that something you've ever wanted to try?
I don't know. We all have our strengths, and my strength, I don't think, is the original idea.
Yeah.
That the blank page is a blank page to me. And I've written some stuff that I like, but I'm very good at editing. At like taking a script and I can see what works and what doesn't, and changing within that framework. Be it dialogue or just tweaking a scene or moving things around. I'm pretty good at that. But the actual original idea isn't necessarily my strength.
Yeah. See, I'm pretty good at, because I also write scripts. I mean, I haven't sold any, but I have like 4 feature films I've finished. And the way like I taught myself how to write is like, if I'm writing a story, I would imagine who actors like, oh, I want Lyndon Ashby for this part. I'll write it for him. You know what I mean? And,
right. You hear a voice in your head. You write to that person, which is great, because I think so many people, I read scripts and the characters all have the same voice.
Yeah.
And I think that's great that you do that. That you have an idea in your head, so they have different voices, and that's great.
Yeah. So yeah. I have a buddy comedy movie with you and John Cusack. So once we get that green lighted, we're rocking and rolling.
Let's do it. Talk to John.
Yeah. Oh, dude,
He's great.
Oh, you've met him?
I don't know him at all, but I like his work a lot.
Yeah, I saw him, because what he does is he takes his movies and he tours like big theaters, which you should probably do with Mortal Kombat. And he sells it out, and he does a Q&A like with all the fans and stuff. It's like pretty cool. So I went, because I'm like the John Cusack of stand-up comedy. I just say anything, And I went. See, that was yeah, high five.
I'm holding up the thing. The boombox.
Yeah. So I went, and he's actually very funny, and I was just thinking, like, for a guy to do that with his classic movies, that's pretty incredible, So
that's really cool. That's really cool. I wonder what the royalty issue is on that, because you got to pay an exhibition fee, I would imagine, but I don't know.
I don't know, but I mean, if you rewrote Mortal Kombat, you kind of have like the rights to it, like a form of it, right? So you could just.
I think I don't know. Somebody probably owns the title. I'm sure somebody owns the rights to that. They're making a new movie.
Yeah.
They would probably be like, no, Lyndon, you can't just write Mortal Kombat 3. That's not going to work.
Yeah.
I'd be like, what? It's spelled with a C, Mortal Kombat. It's not K.
It's a different story. I wrote it for John Cusack and Keith Reza.
There you go. There you go.
Another question I had is you're in a lot of sequels, but you're not like in the original. You always do the sequels, like Wild Things, Anacondas, all that stuff. What's that like going from, like, do you watch the original to try and get an idea of the stories or the timelines?
I had a house, I had a wife, I had 2 kids, I had college, I had school, I had cars, I had dogs, I had cats, I had horses. So I did a lot of movies with a lot of numbers behind them.
Yeah.
So, but everyone goes, oh, you did it for a paycheck. And I go, yeah. But I also worked for that paycheck. I never phoned it in. I was never disrespectful to the material. I tried my best to make it as good as it could possibly be. But yeah, I had, I had bills to pay.
Yeah.
That was life. I've kind of, the girls are grown and things have worked out well. And so now I'm a bit more selective about, I don't have to do anything I don't want to do, which is a great place to be in your life.
Yeah. I wish I was in that point in my career, because I'm at the point where I have to take whatever I get offered. You know what I mean?
Right. And I've been there, done that.
Yeah. It's like, oh, I don't really want to do this. I'm hoping it gets canceled.
Well, I only had one project like that where I did a pilot and I was like, oh, please God, don't let this get picked up. But I'm not going to talk about that, and I'm not going to name any names. But yeah, but that's the only one. Everything else, there's been something about almost all the stuff, really, actually all the stuff that I've done, that I really enjoyed the work, I enjoyed the people, I enjoyed the process. I worked with great people, I met amazing people, I went to amazing places in the world. I've lived a really, really charmed life.
Yeah.
I've never had to do anything other than be an actor. And I've made a good living at it. And whew, how many people can say that?
Exactly. Now, how as an artist, how does it feel? Because like in the 80s and 90s and the early thousands, like movie theaters were big, and now it's like streaming, YouTube, stuff like that. Like, how does that change your artistic view?
I think there's so much more good content right now, truthfully. I think there's, like, I started this past week. I'm doing this little indie film, really cool script. I think that it's a smaller crew. We're shooting here in LA and working with great people, and it's just fun. And there's more content out there. There's more good content, and you can do things at a lower budget. I mean, when I remember the late 80s, doing a low budget film, and it was, oh, this is a low budget movie, and it was $3 million budget.
Wow,
it's like
that's like a big budget right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, it'd be a really comfortable budget, or big budget is ridiculously big. I think some of the most creative storytelling right now is in television. I think that there's such great stuff happening there, and it's just a different format to tell your stories, but you can tell so much of there are stories that lend themselves to film, and stories that lend themselves to a long format. And there's a lot of really good stuff out there, and you see people that you've never seen before, and there's so many good actors and great directors and great writers and great producers, and people are just hitting it out of the park right now. I wish I was like 20 again for a lot of different reasons, but I just think it's such a cool time to be in this business, in this world,
Would you say like that was part of the thing that drew you to Teen Wolf, by the storytelling?
I can tell you exactly what drew me to Teen Wolf. I got this appointment for Teen Wolf. They sent me the script. I looked at it and I went, really? Teen Wolf? They're redoing that? And then I read it, and it was a great script.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. And then got the project, did it. I remember the first cast read through, table read. And I watched Dylan and Tyler and Crystal and, Holland. And we went through this script, and it's a table read. So they're terrible usually. Right. And at that table read, you could tell that this was potentially something really special. Yeah. And I remember I went up to Posey and Dylan afterwards. I go, hey, you guys want to go get a beer? And they're like, we just turned 18. We can't drink. And
did you say, okay, I'll buy you some?
Yeah, I was like, yeah, let's go to 7-Eleven. I'll go in and get you a case. They were such kids, but they were so talented. I think that, I've been lucky enough to be on a few things like that where you look around and you realize that you caught lightning in a bottle.
Yeah.
And this sort of something really special is happening. And you think you know it. And then I remember seeing, the pilot for Teen Wolf in the first season and just going, good stuff.
Yeah.
Really good stuff. And I remember talking to my manager and agent at the time and going about Dylan going, hey, and Tyler, they're, these kids, if you're interested, you should chase them hard because there's something special here.
Yeah. Did you say they're going to be the new Lyndon Ashby?
No, they could never be that. They'll be much better than that. They will be much better than that. Yeah.
When you
that's another thing, it segueing into that, that's the fun thing is that you are the best you that exists in the universe. I'm the best me that exists in the universe. We could read the exact same thing, do the exact same thing, and it'll be filtered through us and come out completely different. Yeah. And so when people try to be other people or imitate other people, or I get it sometimes, but I'm like, you're never going to be as good as them. But there's also that thing of like that people do a little. What is it? You steal from one person, you're a plagiarist. You steal from 3 people, you're a genius.
Oh, that's interesting.
But if I do something, if I took something, I could do it and think I'm doing an exact imitation of what I took. And the truth is that it's still coming out of me. So it's going to be different.
Yeah.
I don't know how I sidetracked on that, but I think so many people don't think about that. They try to be something else other than what they are, and what they are is enough.
No, I totally agree with that, because it seems like actors, they'll try and change who they're not they are like for a script. Like, I'm not saying that it's bad or whatever. Like Daniel Day-Lewis, I think he's one of the best actors.
Yeah, he's a chameleon. He's brilliant, but he's never loses sight of, immersing yourself into a character is a completely different thing.
Yeah.
But he doesn't try to be someone else. He's Daniel Day-Lewis. He is he knows. That's what that old thing of like, he knows he's enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can tell by your work, like you do that too, but you also let people know, hey, you're Lyndon Ashby too. You know, like you're
Right.
You can
Right. I've gone through different phases or growth periods in my life where I felt really comfortable in my skin, and then periods where I didn't feel comfortable at all with who or what I was and tried to be something different. And that's not, I'm not talking about growth. I'm talking about just not being uncomfortable with, you don't think you're enough. You're uncomfortable in your own skin. You're uncomfortable with the whole thing. And only as I've gotten older, certainly, it's that thing where you go, I wish I knew then what I know now.
Yeah.
But that's part of growing. But yeah, it's nice to be okay with who you are.
Yeah.
And what you are. Yeah, it's nice. That's a gift.
Yeah. When you were doing I'm gonna say the last name wrong because I have a speech stutter, but White Herb.
Yeah.
Did you like because you were playing a real historic figure? Did you ever like do research, or how did you like get into that?
Yeah.
Part?
I mean the it's interesting because the film at the the scene at the OK Corral, that is the actual dialogue that occurred in reality.
Oh, nice.
That's one film that I wish, I don't have many regrets in my life, but I wish that's a film I wish I could go back and do again, because I was so scared, basically. It was this giant movie, and I was the only person I'd never heard of. And, and I was worried about fucking up instead of just being present,
Yeah.
I was worried with the result instead of being in the moment for the process. And it was so much fun. It was so much fun. We got to do this big giant Western for 6 months. And it was like a dream come true. And I that's the one I'd like to get back and be able to take another crack at.
Yeah. So you go in your time machine and refilm it the exact same way, or would you change?
Oh no, I would change I'd change how I did stuff. I'd totally change how I'd have way more fun. I'd have way more fun.
I always thought like Westerns were probably the best films to make, because if you're not shooting, you could ride a horse or something.
Yeah, I had my own horse there. It wasn't mine, but it was my character's horse. So I'd go ride. What was his name? Can't remember the name of that horse, but so I could go ride the horse and hang out and do cowboy stuff, and we learned, like quick draw and stuff like that, and gun tricks, and that was fun. And but the difference between my comfort level in that movie and then my comfort level in Mortal Kombat are night and day. I was completely comfortable in Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when I saw Mortal Kombat, I was 8 years old, and my dad took me to go see it. And my mom has this whole thing of no violence, you know what I mean? But we snuck out. And then like 6 months later, my dad and my mom are watching it on the TV. I was like, it's very critical of my mom, you know what I mean?
Yep.
But I think I related to your character the most because I've always wanted to be an actor, and I've always wanted to fight to show people who I really am. You know what I mean? And I think that's why Johnny Cage really connects to a lot of Mortal Kombat fans. Are you there? I'm losing.
That's cool.
Oh.
I like that. Yeah, I'm here. Hang on. I see you. You see me?
Okay,
Am
cool.
I moving?
Yeah, I see you. Okay, cool. Do you remember what I last said, or do I need to repeat it?
No, I do. And I said, that, what did I say? I said, I think that's cool. And I liked that character was relatable like that.
Yeah. So how is that like on the script? If you could change one thing about the Mortal Kombat script, like, would you prefer to fight Sub-Zero or would you keep on fighting Scorpion?
Scorpion.
Yeah.
Sub-Zero probably just would have frozen me.
Yeah. But so like that was fun. So like how is that like on the fighting? Because you have a martial arts background and stuff, like filming is probably what
I do. I mean, I had a boxing background, and I had a little bit of martial arts background, but I wasn't a great martial artist. I was a pretty good athlete. And since then, I mean, I still study now. I still train, and Tang Soo Do, and have a great time. I love it. I enjoy it. I learn something new every class. I like the fitness involved. I still love martial arts. And I've gone through periods in my life where I didn't train and didn't, for a couple years at a time, and then I'll come back. And then it was funny because when I was younger, I would, go on location in a different city somewhere, and I'd be living in a hotel, and I would just find a place, whatever was closest to the hotel. Yeah. And so I studied, Taekwondo, I studied karate, I did Tang Soo Do, Wing Chun, any martial, Krav Maga, whatever was close, I would just study, and just go in and go, okay, hey, I'm here. Can I take classes? And they'd be like, yeah. And so I would just start as a white belt and learn whatever they had to offer. I was never like a belt conscious person. I just wanted to kind of see what's what with a lot of different forms and styles and discipline.
I took karate because I wanted to prove that it would be cool to have a ponytail as an adult.
How'd that work out?
I don't have a ponytail.
Turn your head. Let me see.
But
one of my best friends, and he's got this ponytail that he tucks into his shirt, and it's down to his waist. And I've been friends with him for a long time, and I've never seen it out of the braid.
Yeah.
Or he just takes rubber bands and he does it the whole way down. And I'm like, dude, before I die, I want to see it in its glory. It's like, and he's got a big old gnarly mustache, and I'm like, you'll be like Gandalf. He's like, okay, yeah, that's good. Let me have another beer.
Now, I heard that you have your own plane. Is that true?
I did for years. I don't now, but I did. Yep, for years. I had a Piper Saratoga, and great airplane, loved flying, and and I sold it, and just haven't really thought about it much in a lot of years. I still enjoy airplanes. I did. Yeah. Once upon a time I did. And then we got horses, and I figured you can only spend stupid money on one stupid thing. So the horses won out because the girls liked him and Susan liked him, and I was probably the only one who really liked the airplane.
Yeah. But is it fun driving an airplane, or is it like hard?
It is. It's the actual flying I found really intuitive, and I took to it pretty well, and I did some aerobatic stuff and unusual flight attitudes and seaplane stuff, and I liked it. The communications and understanding airspace is for me the most challenging part, because it changes all the time. And it's funny, I've got a drone, and it's looking at those maps again, those charts, and seeing controlled airspace, what kind, it used to be A, B, C, I think, and now it's like it goes different levels, but it's restricted airspace. You got your ceilings, you got, minimum flight altitudes, maximum flight altitudes, where you can fly, where you can't fly, who you need to talk to if you're going to fly there. Yeah. It's all, that part was pretty complicated. But on the flip side, having those guys out there, to talk to, tower or control, and if you ever got in a situation where you're in unfamiliar airspace, or something went wrong, or you didn't quite know where you were, and this was when GPS was pretty, we had GPS,
brand new, yeah.
But it was cool. You could talk to those guys, and just all you got to do is ask for help, and they are there to help you out. People are kind of afraid of them in a weird way. Those guys, that's what they're there for. They're there to make sure everyone gets where they're going in one piece.
Yeah.
And I read about plane crashes, particularly private airplane crashes, and I just think to myself, all that person had to do was go, I don't know where I am, I've lost visibility, and those guys would have said, keep your head down, we're going to vector you in, fly this heading, maintain this altitude, blah, blah, blah. And they would have talked them in, they would have gotten them where they were going.
Yeah.
And no one died.
I think crashes scare me, because when I was a kid, I always wanted to be like a guy who flies spaceships, but
yeah,
spaceships aren't around.
Me too. I did too. Me too.
Yeah. But I would think crashing, because you see guys like Harrison Ford, who's like the best, pilot in Star Wars, but in real life, he's crashed like 4 times, and you think, holy Lord. You know what I mean?
What happened? my favorite story is I had a buddy of mine, and he flew medevac choppers in Vietnam, and then he had an airplane, and he had a landing gear that wouldn't come down, so he had to belly land the thing. And I said, well, Jesus, George, I said, were you scared? And he goes, well, no one was shooting at me. I was like, okay.
I see your point.
I always wanted to be that cool. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm gonna go back to Mortal Kombat for a second.
Okay.
Because I remember growing up, there was all this talk about a Mortal Kombat 3 that never happened, but it said that you were going to start. Is there any way you could talk about that, or what was?
Well, Mortal Kombat 2, I was doing a TV series when it came out, and then they wrote, this part where I've died and wasn't really in it, and then they didn't sort of want to. It's a lot of stuff that happened, but they didn't. Yeah. It didn't make sense for me to do it at the time.
It's probably a good move.
Yeah, it just wasn't great. Yeah. But I always, and it's funny because Paul Anderson and Robin are still really close.
Yeah.
And we hang out and we'll, do stuff. And it's like, there's a new Mortal Kombat coming out. And I think reinventing James Bond is amazing. What Daniel Craig, that you reinvent a franchise, and you don't want Roger Moore or George Lazenby or Sean Connery around there, or who else? Timothy Dalton, was he a James Bond?
Yeah, there's also Pierce Brosnan. But you don't bring the old James Bond back. You have the new James Bond. It's a new franchise. And so I kind of got why they didn't want us around in Mortal Kombat, but I think there was a pretty cool opportunity to have these legacy characters and then introduce new characters. And I think that might, I don't know. That's what Paul wanted to do. Yeah.
I'm like, well, do it, dude. Let's go. I think there's such a fondness in that fan base for the original Mortal Kombat that I think people would have liked to have seen us there.
Yeah. I don't know if you are on Twitter that much, but one of the producers of the new Mortal Kombat like kind of said, "Who should be Johnny Cage?" And I tweeted Lyndon Ashby.
Fuck yeah. Did you say who should be Johnny Cage? And you're like, Johnny Cage.
Yeah, exactly. But but I mean that would make sense because in the games right now, Johnny Cage is kind of an old guy, you know what I mean? And his daughter's no, I mean he has a daughter with Sonya.
Yeah, Cassie. Yeah, I know. That would be really cool. That would be great.
Yeah. Yep. So that was another question I had. Like, was on Mortal Kombat, how cool was Bridget? Because she was like my first crush.
Bridget was great.
Yeah.
I haven't kept up with Bridget. You know, life takes you in different directions. I love Bridget.
Yeah.
I love Talisa, and you know, the four of us spent a lot of time together, and Bridget was great. Yeah. Bridget was great. Bridget was cool.
Yeah.
And I imagine she still is.
Yeah. Because I saw her in Last Action Hero. Did you ever see that movie?
Sure.
Yeah. It was a terrible movie, but she was awesome in it.
wasn't she in that Adam Sandler movie too?
Billy Madison, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
So.
Yeah.
So, do you know that when you did the Mortal Kombat video game, how much fans you made happy? Like,
good.
I mean, like,
good. I you know, and I'm not a gamer, which is funny. But it was really interesting to do, and I got to tell you, I was kind of taken back. I'm like, wait, this is so violent. I was like, oh my God, I'm like holding up somebody's head and doing a puppet voice. And, you know, it was like, gee whiz. Man.
Well, I have 3 more questions.
Okay, go ahead.
I want to respect your time. But on when you were doing the scenes with Goro, like what was that like? Because it was a puppet. Like I think that was a big budget thing.
Oh yeah, no, he was the most advanced animatronic being that had ever been made for a film at that time.
Yeah.
And he was such a pain in the ass. He never worked right. That poor guy who had to be inside couldn't breathe and couldn't see, and Goro, all like his servos overheated, and he just sit there and go and he'd freeze up, and he was the action that he could do was pretty limited if you didn't want to get stuck there all day dealing with him.
Yeah. So is that why the fight scene was so short with you guys?
Yeah, it was supposed to be a big fight scene, and then it got cut way down. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep. But I think that was one of those lines that was an improvised line.
The sunglasses?
Yep.
I had a feeling.
Yeah.
I also had a feeling the talent agent one was.
Yep, probably. Yep.
And then another question, like this is just for me. This isn't really for anyone else, but because I'm in love with stand-up comedy. Was there ever a time in your career where you thought maybe you wanted to try that?
I'm not. That, you know, I think I'm funny, but I'm not sure anyone else does.
Oh. I think you're funny.
And well, thank you. I think you're funny.
Oh, thanks.
So that makes 2 of us. But no. Short answer, no. No. Yeah.
And then the last question I had for you is, if you could go back in time, you already said you would do Wyatt Earp, but cancel Wyatt Earp. How would you redo your career when you first started? Like, would you do less daytime soaps or more pilots? Or
well, the funny thing is that like back when I started, everybody did daytime soaps. When you're starting out, we were all in New York. It's like what people did. I mean, I was on that and did Loving and like Bryan Cranston and Luke Perry and, you know, and Kevin Bacon was on a soap and Meg Ryan was on a soap and Alec Baldwin was on a soap. And, you know, you started out in soaps and you kind of cut your teeth. You got your experience. And I did a soap in the day and I did theater at night. and I'm thinking back, I'm like, God, when did I sleep? And it was a great training ground. You could learn really good habits, or you could learn really bad habits. But yeah, I'd have jumped off that and gone to LA. And like I say, if I could just have been a little more comfortable in my own skin, I think I would have done better. Yeah.
Hey, can I ask you one more question?
Of course.
Okay. So, who's the most intimidating actor you've ever acted with? And they don't necessarily have to be like a bad person or a drama queen, but like they were just intimidating being around.
Well, like that goes like to people that you just like you're in your head going, oh my God, I can't believe I'm working with this person.
Yeah.
Gene Hackman. Yeah. First of all, he's really tall. He's like 6'4". Yeah, he's like 6'4", and I'm like, all I could think of was like, oh my God, that's Gene Hackman, which probably wasn't helping in the scene. Yeah, instead of like calling him his character's name, I'm like, okay, Mr. Hackman. That, and I don't know. Yeah, that would probably be it.
Yeah. I actually asked Gene Hackman if I could interview him, but his manager's like, he's retired. He doesn't do interviews. And I was like, I think that's why it's a perfect time to interview him.
I know. It's funny. Gene said that he was going to retire back then. He goes, I'm too old to play dress up.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, you're great.
Yeah. Well, where can the folks at home follow you? Twitter, Instagram?
Twitter and Instagram. On Twitter, it's Lyndon Ashby. That's just me. And Instagram, it's Lyndon_Ashby, because there's a Lyndon Ashby who's not me, but seems to be better at Instagram than I actually am. So the fake me is better than the real me. Yeah. But it's kind of weird to have a fake me.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a couple, like, not to brag, but I have a couple fake me's too. And it's kind of
nice.
Weird. It's kind of like, weird. It's like, that's not me. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I know. It's weird.
Internet could be scary sometimes.
Or just don't really take it that seriously. And
yeah.
It's funny. I actually enjoy Twitter. I don't do it as much as I used to, but I actually and Instagram, and I like interacting with people. I enjoy that interaction. And I think that people are like, aren't you worried about like people being mean and stuff? I'm like, no, people who follow me are really cool for the most part. I've only had a couple people kind of come at me online.
Yeah. And
I'm like, hey man, you're following me. I'm not following you. So if you don't like what I'm saying, turn the dial.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I try to not get overly political. I try not to. Sometimes you can't help it. You got to kind of give a voice to what you think, but my opinion is no more valid than anyone else's. And I never really kind of kid myself and think it is. So yeah, I like Twitter and I like Instagram.
Well, Lyndon, thank you so much. I know you get a lot of requests, and especially right now with like this whole whatever's going on, thank you for taking time just to talk to me. And that it really means a lot to me.
Thank you for talking to me. It means a lot to me too.
All right. When this is over, let's do it in person and let's hang out.
I'd love that. All
right, Lyndon. Have a good day, buddy.
Take care. Bye. See you.
Bye. All right, guys. That was my interview with Lyndon Ashby. Subscribe, rate, and review, and follow him on Twitter. And it was fun, man. Holy Lord. That was a great interview. All right. Thank you so much. Bye.
You're listening to Reza Riffs with Keith Reza and Alan Lee right here on LA Talk Radio.